Hi, welcome to The Needle. Today we're going to be discussing streaming. Boo! I know, terrifying. The funny thing is, I know so many musicians that know that there's something wrong with the music industry. They just don't know exactly what it is. They know their payments have gone down, but they don't know what the exact problem came from, and they certainly don't know what the solution is. So today we're going to be talking to Michelle Lewis, who is a songwriter, an amazing singer, an industry veteran, if that doesn't make her sound too old, and founder of SONA, which is the Songwriters of North America, who are a group that advocates for songwriters' rights in this ever-changing landscape of streaming. So welcome, Michelle Lewis.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. So this all started with you receiving a check. You'd had a hit in the UK with a band called Little Mix, and the song was called Wings. And this was what year?
2012. It came out. The big year for the song was 2013.
Right. And then that big year, you got your check from Spotify.
Well, just to even set it up even more, why it ended up being such a resounding disappointment is because while the song was sort of doing its thing, which means like it sort of reaches this, it gets in the zeitgeist and you start getting requests for it to be on Dancing with the Stars or American Idol or Glee. And so we get these, they're called license requests, and you get them in an email every day. Like I'd get 2 or 3 requests, and they were just kind of coming in fast and furious. And it was like, this is fantastic. This is what a hit feels like. And that's the sort of moment to moment thing that happens when you have a hit, aside from hearing it on the radio, which is exciting. But you actually get these requests for the song. So that's exciting. So when that was all happening, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be good.
You're thinking your ship's come in.
Thinking it's going to be
good. It's going to be a big deal.
I'm thinking, let me select the color of my Tesla.
Right.
Let me start designing the pool, all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Right. And then the check arrives.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, it was funny because it's never a check from Spotify. It's part of your ASCAP statement. And
Right.
ASCAP is your Performance Rights Organization, or BMI, or CSEC, or PRS if you're British. And they collect all of the sort of performances. They collect every time a song airs, they monitor that, and then they give you a sort of a payment for it airing, for the performance of it on that, whatever.
Including streams.
Including streams. So the thing about streaming, it's in the very back of your statement, bottom pages. Like you get a bunch of pages and you see radio, terrestrial radio, and cable television, and Sirius, and all those things. And at the very bottom,
They sneak it in.
They sneak it in, and it's like you see that little SPFY
Right.
or something like that is the acronym for
Right.
Spotify, or the code.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the big year. It should have been the big year for the song.
The suspense is killing me.
$4.78.
Oh my God. So that is, I presume, what started you on this quest to find out what had happened.
Exactly. It was my what the bleep moment. It was
Right.
that kind of like, how did this happen? And I started poking my head up and sort of going, is this just me? Is this you guys too? Meaning, like, I checked with my co-writers. I checked with other writers that I'm friendly with. Is this happening to you? And it was. And we were all this was the end of 2013. Spotify had been a thing. Everyone loves streaming. I have a subscription. And we started sort of seeing what that meant for us on the back end, and it was not very good.
So in the era of CDs and downloads, having a hit in the UK and Europe, where it was huge as well, would have been, you would have been in the money.
Because we also would have gotten were sales.
Right.
It would have been on an album. Remember those?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And every time one of those was sold, the songwriter and the artist and the record label all got a little piece of that pie. And, you know, it was like 1 cent here or 9.1 cents there. But that, you know, you have 100,000 sales, you know, you sell 100,000 of them.
9 cents is huge compared to what a stream will pay, because that's in the point something something.
That's fractional, yeah.
Right.
It's a fraction of a penny as opposed to 9.1 cents, which was per song. That was the rate that was.
Could you explain very briefly, because this is something that's always mystified me, and I know a lot of musicians, because musicians are, you know, they're musicians.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
Left brain, right brain.
There's
me too.
issues that I think a lot of people go through their whole career not knowing. You're talking about the mechanical royalty there.
Right.
That's the royalty from the physical object.
Yeah.
What, in the olden days...
In the olden days, way back when, in 1998.
What did a song generate? It was mechanical royalties, and then radio play was...
Performance royalties.
And then there's a third part, right?
Sync fees, yes.
Right,
yes.
from if it's used in a commercial.
Exactly.
And now, in the world of streaming, the mechanical royalty's completely gone away. There's no physical product, and it's replaced by the streaming royalty,
right, which
is the problem.
yeah. It's well, imagine if Walmart and Kiss FM combined, and that's sort of a stream. It's like taking our two main ways that we make money and then sort of combining it. It's the two things. You get the performance and the mechanical combined in one little stream. But instead of going out to, you know, 500,000 people, which would be listening to Kiss FM at like drive hour or drive time or whatever, you're going to one person. So that's why it's actually a much tinier rate. You're not getting nearly the number of the sets of ears that you would be getting.
Yeah. So when you kind of followed this down the wormhole to find out what had changed, the money's being generated, where's it going?
If I could draw it physically, I would picture a waterfall. And you'd sort of see this pool at the top of the waterfall of what used to be the music economy, the money that would sort of be all in the music economy, which was albums, touring, merch, radio, all those things, sort of like what people would pay for when they wanted regarding music. And then something happened in 2001 that changed the way we look at the top of the waterfall forever, which is music was, the top of the waterfall was just flooded. It was a free-for-all. It was
because of the internet?
Because of Napster.
Because of Napster, right.
Yeah. It was all, you were given a choice, you the consumer. You have a choice. You could pay $15.99 for 14 tracks, one or two of which you might actually want, or you could pay nothing for exactly what you want. Which will you choose?
Yeah, especially if you're 15 and you don't have a lot of money. And yeah. So why did the law at the time not change? I mean, I presume that's the problem. At the root of this, it's a legal issue, and I know that you guys are trying to
We're trying to fix it, legislatively. Yeah. So what happened out of the Napster debacle is legislation came about, which was going to try and sort of enforce piracy, like try to really smack down, like just sort of clamp down on people who were just on the pirates who were just getting all this stuff out. And
is this the Digital Millennial Act?
No, this is SOPA. This is the Stop Online Piracy Act. That was in like, I'm going to get this wrong, 2009? I don't remember exactly.
We'll check it. We'll flash it up on the screen.
Flash it up on the screen, yeah. Do you remember when there was like a kind of a meme going around about don't break the internet? There was sort of net neutrality and don't break the internet. So we as songwriters and artists and musicians, we were like really hopeful that the internet would be the utopia. We'd get rid of the middleman, the evil record labels, the radio stations who had too much power, the consolidated, media conglomerates that were sort of sucking us dry. We were really hopeful that the internet would be the promised land in terms of direct,
Right.
us direct to.
You just have a website.
You just have a website,
Yeah.
and it's just direct. Technology will change everything, and we'll just go direct to the fans. And maybe we weren't quick enough on the uptake. Maybe that was just stupid. But the smart ones, the digital service providers, the ones who thought of YouTube and like Apple Music and whatever, they were like, ooh, all this free stuff that we can sell.
Right.
That we could just get out there. While we were all sort of figuring out how to remonetize it, they just did it. And so the music industry, as an industry, went from, I think, something like a $24 billion industry to $7 billion. And it's not for lack of demand. It's not like when people compare us to, horse and buggy drivers or typewriter salesmen. No, because
people love music
people
still.
still love music, and they still consume it like crazy, probably more than ever.
So it was a money grab took place that left, that the law had not kept up with to prevent.
Exactly. And then when they tried to prevent it, because it's Google and these all-pervasive internet
Yeah, go on.
platforms, they were like, where do you go for your information? You go to Google. So they're going to be like, don't break the internet. If you let this law pass, the internet will break and you're not going to have all this free access to information anymore. And we all bought it. And the law, this SOPA, which went from being a complete no-brainer with so much support in the House, went from like looking like a sure win to getting defeated.
I see. Right.
I think it was 2011. Pretty sure it was 2011, which is also like 11 years after the fact, right? Or 10 years after this has all been like the music business had already been decimated.
Yeah.
But even after that, they still had enough power, to sort of go to the people who had been decimated.
So this is the law that if it had gone through, it would have stopped YouTube being able to just have so much music. Because I know my nieces will just listen to YouTube all day, listen to playlists all day. And YouTube are kind of protected by, is it fair use or
safe harbor?
Safe
Both
harbor,
fair,
okay.
Right, there's two things. There's fair. I love how when there's an act in Congress when it has the word fair or freedom in it, it's completely fucked. Like it totally means the opposite. It basically means like if it's fair, it means it's completely, someone's getting screwed.
It's
and
all
if
the F's.
Yes, and if it's freedom, then it's, it's obviously we want this for free.
Right.
And it's confusing because on the one hand, as a musician and someone who makes music, you're also a fan. Hopefully you love music as well.
Yeah, I have an Apple Music subscription, so I'm using it, but I would like more of my money to go to the songwriters.
Yeah.
But it's going, well, who's it going to?
It's going to, that's a good question. So when you pay your $9.99 a month to Apple Music, 30% of that subscription amount goes to Apple, right? 30%. So the store is taking off a premium of 30% just to be the store. Then 70%, they say, goes to the rights holders. The rights holders would be the people that own the music. So it's not just like your demo of a song that you've written that people want to buy. They want to buy the Christina Aguilera version of it, and that's the sound recording. That's the part that the record label invested in and promoted and got it out there. So
And they own it.
They own it. So in order to get that for Apple Music, Apple has to license it directly from whatever the label is that owns that sound recording. That ended up because of something else we could talk about, which is the anti-monopoly.
Well, I want to get into that. Let's bookmark that, the whole antitrust.
Well, the reason, because that's the reason. Because of that, bookmarked, the sound recording is worth 10 to 12 times more than the copyright itself.
Right. So the songwriter essentially ends up with
4%.
4%
of that
right.
70%. And
that's true. I mean, the example you've given is Apple Music with the 30% off the top. But if we look at Pandora or Spotify, is that the same sort of numbers?
Yeah, sometimes it's 40. It ranges between 30 and 40%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to do about it?
Okay.
Because my sister, who's a songwriter,
yes.
has been to some of you've been holding events and lobbying and advocating all over the place. So what's your master plan?
Okay, so let's take Lauren, for example. Let's take a song that she writes for Avril Lavigne, let's say. Avril's recording of Complicated right now gets 96% of the revenue sent from Spotify. Lauren gets 4% to split with her publisher.
Right. So 96% is going to the record company that owns the sound recording.
And then they have to pay out Avril. It's the label's job to pay Avril, not Lauren.
And the labels essentially are large advertising agencies. They hold the power to promote something to where the public want that product. So it's harder to go direct, as you were saying, that sort of promised land that never emerged.
It's the promised land never emerged because, as David Lowery put it, the new boss is worse than the old boss. Internet utopia doesn't exist. There's a lot of people in Silicon Valley getting very, very rich off of content created by those of us down here in Los Angeles. Yeah,
nerds have ruined it all.
Well,
again.
the nerds win. They win. They totally win. They have the algorithms and stuff, and we don't have the algorithms.
I'd like to say they're having much less sex than us.
They're totally not getting laid.
Yeah. Oh,
so true. But maybe the money helps.
Probably are paying for it.
Exactly.